Hello, I am Rabbi Jacob Feldman, and today I will share with you a truth that has remained hidden for centuries within the most private circles of Jewish wisdom, a revelation that may sound disturbing at first, but which will be absolutely liberating once you understand its profound meaning and apply its principles to your life. Please leave a comment sharing your financial situation to support our collective prosperity and subscribe to my channel. I count on your help to spread the message of Jewish wealth. During my 40 years studying the financial secrets of the Kabbalistic tradition, I discovered that millions of people over the age of 45 are being literally drained of their ability to prosper by forces they cannot even clearly identify, invisible forces that siphon their prosperous energy and systematically block their paths to financial abundance. Yes, you heard that correctly, and I want you to understand right from the start that I am not talking about superstition or paranoia, but about an energetic reality well documented in our sacred texts and validated by decades of observation in my practice as a spiritual and financial counselor. The shocking truth I need to reveal is this: people with generous hearts and a welcoming nature, especially those who have built a reputation for being trustworthy and helpful, have become prime targets for a subtle but devastating form of energetic vampirism that directly attacks their ability to maintain and multiply financial resources. I call this prosperity drainage, and in my years of helping people like you, I have found that this is one of the main reasons why hardworking, honest, and generous individuals live in a constant financial struggle, even when they do everything right from a practical standpoint. Their energies are being siphoned by people who, consciously or not, function as true vampires of others' prosperity. Let me tell you about Margaret, 53 years old. A retired teacher who was always known in her family and social circle as that open-hearted person, always ready to listen to others' problems and offer help when possible. Margaret dedicated 30 years of her life to educating children, built a modest but respectable financial reserve through much sacrifice and planning, and always took pride in being able to help nephews in need or neighbors with emergencies. But in recent years, she began to notice a strange and disturbing pattern that left her confused and gradually more cautious in her social relationships. Whenever she offered financial help or even prolonged emotional support to certain people in her circle, within a matter of days or weeks, something unexpected would happen in her own financial life. The refrigerator would mysteriously break down, the car would develop expensive problems that didn't exist before, unexpected medical bills would appear, or extra work opportunities that were almost certain would simply dissolve into thin air. It was as if her generosity were an automatic trigger for financial problems to manifest in her life, draining the very resources she had used or made available to help others. At first, Margaret attributed these coincidences to bad luck or the natural stress of life, but as the pattern repeated with almost mathematical precision, she began to feel disturbed and confused, unable to understand why her attempts to do good seemed to consistently result in losses for herself. "Rabbi," she told me, when she came seeking guidance earlier this year, her eyes welling with tears and her voice trembling like someone questioning her own sanity, "am I going crazy? Or is there really some connection between my willingness to help and the problems that arise afterward? Is the universe punishing me for trying to be good?" I held her trembling hands and explained with all the firmness and care I could muster that she was not imagining things, that her intuition was absolutely correct, and that there are real, measurable energetic forces that can interfere with the prosperity of pure-hearted people when they do not know how to protect themselves properly. Similarly, Robert, a 58-year-old accountant, a hard-working and upright man who had built a respectable client base over decades of honest service, began to notice that every time he had a long conversation with certain colleagues who constantly complained about life, talked about failures, said that times are tough for everyone, and spread pessimism about the economy and opportunities, he himself would start losing clients for no apparent reason. Deals that seemed certain wouldn't close, proposals that were practically finalized were cancelled at the last minute, and a sense of heaviness, discouragement, and lack of motivation would take over him for days, directly affecting his ability to prospect new clients and maintain the enthusiasm needed to grow professionally. Robert is a rational man, trained in the hard sciences, accustomed to dealing with numbers and concrete facts, so for a long time, He tried to find logical explanations for these coincidences, but he was gradually forced to admit that there was an undeniable correlation between his exposure to negative conversations and the subsequent decline in his business. What Margaret and Robert were experiencing, and what I want you to deeply understand today, is the direct result of an energetic phenomenon that our ancient tradition knows very well, but which was purposely hidden from popular knowledge for reasons I will explain in detail. In Kabbalistic texts, there is a concept called ayin hara, literally the evil eye, which does not refer to folk superstition, but to a well-documented energetic reality where the envy, pessimism, chronic negativity, and resentment of certain people can, literally, interfere with the energy fields surrounding those who are seeking growth and prosperity. This interference is not metaphorical or symbolic. It is real and measurable in its practical effects, manifesting as inexplicable financial obstacles, sudden loss of opportunities, problems that arise from nowhere, and a constant feeling that something is blocking a person's progress, no matter how hard they try or how many different strategies they implement. Even deeper is the concept of klipot, the negative husks, low-vibration spiritual forces that literally feed on the positive life energy of others and manifest through people who live in constant negativity, pessimism, envy, and resentment. These people, often without consciously realizing what they are doing, function as channels for these destructive forces and can drain the prosperous energy of those around them, directly interfering with their natural processes of manifesting abundance. They have an almost supernatural ability to identify generous-hearted people who do not know how to protect themselves adequately, and they unconsciously attach themselves energetically to these people, creating a parasitic connection that continuously siphons their financial and emotional vitality. I want you to understand something fundamental that I discovered by observing hundreds of cases like Margaret's and Robert's. These problematic people have an unfailing instinct for identifying who has a heart too kind to set clear energetic boundaries, who was raised to feel guilty when they need to protect themselves, who confuses spiritual generosity with unlimited energetic availability. It's as if they have a special radar that detects unprotected fields of prosperous energy and automatically directs them to these sources of vitality that they can drain without resistance. They know exactly what kind of conversation, what kind of problem, what kind of sad story will open the person's energetic defenses and create an entry point to suck their life force and their ability to prosper. For decades, while teaching these principles in restricted circles, I realized that there is a hidden rule that was kept secret, because when the masses have access to real tools of energetic protection, they become less dependent on systems that benefit from their financial vulnerability. This rule is what I call the principle of spiritual financial protection, a piece of knowledge kept in the most closed circles of Kabbalah that teaches a revolutionary truth. Before seeking material prosperity through practical strategies, it is absolutely essential to create a solid, energetic shield that prevents negative interferences from draining our prosperous energy. And this shield is built through the specific recitation of 5 psalms in a determined sequence and frequency that function as a virtually impenetrable spiritual barrier against destructive influences of any nature. This rule was hidden from popular knowledge for centuries, because those who control financial and economic systems know very well that energetically protected people become financially independent, prosperous, and capable of building real wealth instead of living eternally dependent on credits, loans, and vicious cycles of debt that generate profits for others. When you master the art of financial energetic protection, you automatically break the patterns of drainage that keep millions of good people trapped in chronic economic difficulties, and this deeply bothers those who profit from the vulnerability of others. But I have decided to break this silence to specifically help mature people like you who have already given so much of themselves throughout their lives that they have completely lost the natural ability to protect themselves adequately against influences that drain their prosperous vitality. The 5 Psalms I will teach you today, Psalm 3, Psalm 12, Psalm 20, Psalm 121, and Psalm 150, are not just beautiful spiritual texts for reflection or emotional comfort. They are precise energetic tools that were specifically chosen by our sages to function as a sequence of progressive protection that completely rebuilds a person's energy field, over 40 days of consistent practice. Each psalm has a specific and complementary function in this process of spiritual shielding, and when recited in the correct order, with the proper intention and at the appropriate frequency, they literally create an invisible but real barrier around the person that automatically repels attempts at energetic drainage and blocks negative interference in their ability to attract and maintain prosperity. The first psalm in this sequence, Psalm 3, functions as an energetic cutting tool that severs negative connections from the past that are still draining your energy in the present. Many people don't realize they carry invisible energetic connections with individuals who have siphoned their vitality in the past, and these connections continue to function as drainage tubes even when the person no longer has physical contact with these energetic vampires. When Margaret began to recite Psalm 3 every morning as I instructed, visualizing energetic cords being cut between her and all the people who had drained her energy in recent years, she reported an immediate sense of relief and lightness that she hadn't experienced in a long time. "Rabbi," she told me after the first week, "it's as if an invisible weight has been lifted from my shoulders. I didn't know I was carrying so much of other people." The second psalm, Psalm 12, is recited to create a direct protective shield against envy, the evil eye, and low-vibration energies that try to penetrate your energy field during the day. This psalm should be accompanied by the visualization of a golden light, creating a protective bubble around your entire body, and specifically around your finances, your work opportunities, and your material resources. Robert learned to recite this psalm every morning before leaving home, and also before any important work meeting. And he began to notice that conversations with negative people simply couldn't affect him in the same way anymore. "It's incredible," he told me. "The same people who used to leave me discouraged for days now seem to be talking to a brick wall. Their negative words just bounce off me without penetrating." The third psalm in the sequence, Psalm 20, is specifically dedicated to activating divine protection in all your business dealings, professional opportunities, and financial decisions. This psalm should be recited while visualizing all doors of opportunity opening in your life, but protected against external interferences that could sabotage your successes or divert your achievements to other people. It is surprising how many people work hard to create opportunities and then see those opportunities mysteriously sabotaged by influences they cannot clearly identify. Psalm 20 functions as a seal of protection that allows your opportunities to develop naturally without negative interference. The fourth psalm, Psalm 121, keeps your prosperous energy circulating properly without unnecessary leaks or losses. Many people have what I call energetic holes in their prosperity field, places where energy constantly escapes through excessive worry, chronic financial fears, or through the tendency to absorb other people's economic problems as if they were their own. This psalm should be recited while visualizing guardian angels specifically assigned to protect your finances, sealing any energetic leaks and ensuring that your prosperous energy remains concentrated and directed towards your own growth and stability. The fifth and final psalm of this protection sequence, Psalm 150, amplifies the vibration of authentic gratitude that is absolutely essential for attracting continuous abundance. Many people do not understand that gratitude is not just a nice feeling or an uplifting spiritual practice. It is literally an energetic magnet that attracts more of what you are genuinely grateful for. But gratitude only works as an attractor of abundance when your energy field is adequately protected from drainage. Otherwise, the abundance you attract through gratitude simply escapes through the holes left by energetic vampires. Psalm 150 should be recited with deep gratitude for everything you already have, visualizing abundance flowing freely towards you without obstacles, leaks, or interceptions by negative energies. The complete process I'm going to teach you now is called the Ritual of the 5 Shields, and should be practiced every morning for exactly 40 consecutive days. The number 40 is not arbitrary. In the Jewish tradition, 40 days represent a complete cycle of energetic transformation, the time needed for new patterns to establish themselves permanently in your spiritual field and manifest as lasting changes in your physical and financial reality. During these 40 days, you will be literally reprogramming your energetic signature to automatically repel drainage attempts and to naturally attract opportunities for prosperity. Each morning, preferably before sunrise, or at least before starting any activity of the day, you should find a quiet place where you can recite the 5 Psalms without interruption. Always begin with a deep breath and the clear intention that you are creating spiritual protection for your financial prosperity. Recite Psalm 3, visualizing all negative energetic connections being cut, literally imagining cords or threads being severed between you and anyone who has drained your energy in the past. Some people see these cords as dark threads, others as chains, others as tubes. Trust your intuition and cut whatever comes to your mind. Next, recite Psalm 12, visualizing a bright golden light descending from above and completely enveloping your body, creating a protective bubble that is impenetrable to negative energies but permeable to positive opportunities and divine blessings. Visualize this bubble extending specifically around your wallet, your bank account, your financial documents, your workplace, and any project or business you have in development. This visualization should be clear and detailed. The more specific, the more effective the protection will be. Continue with Psalm 20, visualizing golden doors opening in all areas of your life where you need opportunities. Work, business, investments, partnerships, sales, any form of resource inflow. But visualize each of these doors protected by spiritual guardians who allow entry only to legitimate and beneficial opportunities, automatically blocking any situation that might be a trap, a deception, or a disguised form of energetic drainage. Psalm 121 should be accompanied by the visualization of specific angels being assigned to protect every aspect of your financial life. Visualize a guardian angel for your main income, another for your savings, another for your investments if you have any, another for your future opportunities, and another specifically to protect you from people who try to exploit your generosity in a destructive way. These angels are not imaginary figures. According to our tradition, they are real forces that respond when called upon with pure intention and genuine need. Finally, recite Psalm 150 with your heart completely open in gratitude for everything you already possess, from the basic necessities that are met to the dreams that are manifesting. This gratitude must be specific and detailed. Be thankful for the food you have, the roof over your head, the people who genuinely love and support you, the skills you have developed, the experiences that have strengthened you. Visualize this gratitude creating a current of golden light that connects you directly to the source of all abundance, naturally attracting more reasons for gratitude in the form of opportunities, resources, and unexpected blessings. During these 4 decades of teaching these principles in restricted circles, I have also developed a complementary technique I call energetic mapping, a practical exercise that allows you to identify with surgical precision exactly which people in your life are draining your prosperous energy so you can specifically protect yourself against these influences without having to completely isolate yourself from social life. This mapping works through the systematic observation of specific signs that always manifest after contact with energetic vampires, signs that most people notice subconsciously but never learn to interpret objectively. I will teach you how to do this mapping so that you can be absolutely certain of who is interfering with your prosperity, eliminating any doubt or guilt you might feel when establishing necessary boundaries. The primary signs that indicate energetic drainage after contact with a particular person are unexplained fatigue that arises without any apparent physical reason, a feeling of emotional heaviness or discouragement that wasn't there before the encounter, a sudden loss of motivation to work or take care of important projects, difficulty concentrating on tasks that are normally easy, irritability or anxiety that appears out of nowhere, and the most revealing of all, sudden or unexpected financial problems that arise in the hours or days following contact with the person. Margaret learned to do this mapping systematically and discovered shocking patterns that explained years of coincidences she had attributed to chance. Her sister-in-law, Susan, for example, always sought her out for long conversations filled with complaints about financial difficulties, relationship problems, and professional frustrations, and invariably, within 48 hours of these conversations, some financial emergency would arise in Margaret's life, from appliances breaking down to extra work opportunities being cancelled without explanation. Robert discovered that his colleague Anthony had a devastating effect on his business whenever they talked for more than 15 minutes. Anthony had a habit of seeking him out at lunchtime to talk about how the economy is tough, how clients are impossible, how no one wants to pay a fair price anymore, and other laments that seemed harmless but consistently preceded periods of low activity in Robert's office. It was as if his words were a curse, Robert told me after mapping for 2 weeks. Every single day that I had lunch with him and listened to his complaints, my afternoon at work was unproductive, and at least one client would call to cancel or postpone a service. The most revealing test I teach is what I call the energy mirror test, a simple but highly effective technique that can be applied before, during, and after any social or professional interaction. Before meeting with someone you suspect might drain your energy, quickly recite Psalm 12 mentally, consciously creating your golden bubble of protection. During the conversation, observe your internal energy. Do you feel energized, neutral, or drained? Immediately after saying goodbye to the person, do an honest check. How is your energy level compared to before the meeting? If you feel any kind of drainage, emotional weight, or loss of vitality, you have just identified an active, energetic vampire in your life. The technique that saved Margaret's financial life was learning to perform an emergency energy cleanse whenever she detected she had been drained by someone. This cleanse consists of reciting the 5 Psalms in full sequence as soon as possible after the drainage, accompanied by specific visualizations of energetic cutting and vitality restoration. She told me that in the first few weeks of practice, she had to do this cleanse almost daily because she began to realize how many people in her life were constantly siphoning her energy without her being aware of it. Rabbi, it was terrifying to discover that I was being drained almost all the time by people I considered dear friends or family, she told me with a mixture of sadness and relief. But it was also liberating to finally understand why I was always tired and having financial problems that made no sense. Robert developed a protection routine that completely transformed his professional life. Every morning before leaving home, he recites the 5 Psalms with the visualizations I taught. Before any important meeting or business call, he recites Psalm 12 mentally to activate his protection, and whenever he notices someone trying to pull him into a negative or pessimistic conversation, he has ready-made phrases to politely redirect or end the interaction. I realized I don't have to be rude or antisocial, he explained. I just need to be smart about where I put my energy and with whom I choose to spend my time. The power phrases I have developed over the years and teach to my students are simple but energetically potent mantras that constantly reinforce the shield created by the Psalms, making the protection automatic and permanent. These phrases should be repeated silently whenever you feel someone is trying to drain your energy or when you notice negative thoughts about money arising in your mind. My prosperity is protected by divine light. No negative energy can touch my abundance. I only allow vibrations of growth in my life. My generosity flows from a protected and sustainable place, and I attract only people and opportunities that honor my energy. Robert memorized these phrases and uses them especially when he is in environments where he knows he will encounter negative people. It's amazing how they work, he told me recently. It's like they create an invisible barrier. The negative people simply can't affect me anymore. They even seem to avoid being near me when I'm repeating the mantras mentally. Margaret uses the phrases mainly when she feels the temptation to help someone beyond her actual capacity. Before, I would feel guilty for saying no, but now I repeat, my generosity flows from a protected and sustainable place, and I can set boundaries without feeling like a bad person. The most surprising result I consistently observe in people who apply this technique correctly is that they begin to report positive changes as early as the first week of practice. A sense of lightness they haven't felt in years, as if an invisible weight has been lifted from their shoulders. Work opportunities that arise naturally, without forced effort or complicated strategies. Old financial problems that resolve without logical explanation, money that arrives unexpectedly, debts that are forgiven, opportunities that appear out of nowhere. And most importantly, the ability to immediately identify when someone is trying to drain their energy, allowing them to step away or protect themselves before damage is done. Margaret told me an incredible story that perfectly illustrates how this protection works in practice. 3 months after starting the ritual of the 5 shields, her niece, Claire, who had disappeared after borrowing $2,000 from her the previous year, reappeared with a dramatic story about needing more money for a medical emergency. In the past, Margaret would have felt guilty and probably would have lent the money even without being sure if she would ever get it back. But this time, as soon as Claire started telling the story, Margaret physically felt her energy being siphoned and immediately began to mentally repeat, "My prosperity is protected by divine light." What happened next was almost magical. The words to say no came naturally, without guilt, without drama, and Claire simply accepted the refusal and left. It was as if my energetic protection had created a barrier she couldn't penetrate, Margaret explained, amazed. The technique I call the protection altar is a powerful complement to the daily ritual of the 5 Psalms. Every Friday evening, a time that marks the beginning of Shabbat in the Jewish tradition, you should light a simple white candle in a quiet corner of your home and recite the 5 Psalms while the candle burns. This practice creates a protected energetic field in your home that prevents negative influences from entering your house and affecting your family and your finances. The candle should burn for at least an hour, and during that time, your home becomes a sanctuary of protected prosperity, where only energies of abundance and growth can flourish. Robert adapted this technique for his office, lighting a small candle every Monday morning while reciting the Psalms before starting the work week. He reported that since starting this practice, not only has his business improved significantly, but the work environment itself has become more harmonious. Difficult clients simply stopped showing up, he told me, impressed. It's as if the energy of the office automatically repels problematic people and attracts only serious and respectful clients. The most profound and lasting benefit that this protection provides is the complete restoration of a person's confidence in their own ability to prosper. When someone lives under constant negative energetic influence for years, they gradually begin to doubt their skills, their luck, their ability to succeed in life. It's as if the constant drainage creates a mental fog that prevents the person from seeing their own qualities and potential. But when this interference is removed through the protection of the Psalms, something extraordinary happens. The person rediscovers their natural strength to attract opportunities and create wealth, regaining not only financial stability, but also self-esteem, joy for life, and a renewed connection to their life's purpose. During the 40 days of practice that I will now prescribe for you, something profoundly transformative will happen, not only in your energetic protection, but in your entire relationship with money, with people, and with your own identity as a prosperous person worthy of abundance. The first 15 days usually bring a sense of relief and lightness, as if you can finally breathe freely after years of feeling suffocated by energies you couldn't identify. Between the 16th and 30th day, you will begin to notice practical changes in your financial reality, opportunities that arise naturally, problems that are resolved more easily, negative people who simply start to avoid your presence. But it is in the last 10 days of the process that the real magic happens. Your new energetic signature consolidates permanently, and you automatically become magnetic to prosperity while naturally repelling any person or situation that tries to drain your vitality. Margaret completed her first 40-day cycle in April of this year, and the results were so spectacular that she decided to continue the ritual as a permanent life practice. "Rabbi," she told me with tears of gratitude in her eyes, "for the first time in decades, I can help people without it resulting in problems for me. My bank account not only stopped mysteriously dwindling, but started to grow in ways I didn't expect." A former student of mine contacted me for private tutoring. My retirement pension had a retroactive adjustment that I didn't even know I was entitled to, and most incredibly, the people who used to seek me out just to ask for help simply stopped showing up, as if I had become invisible to energetic vampires. She discovered something fundamental that I want you to understand. When you are energetically protected, your generosity becomes a force that strengthens rather than weakens, because it flows from a place of protected abundance instead of vulnerable scarcity. Robert had an even more dramatic experience. On the 23rd day of his practice, he received a call from a client who had disappeared after hiring his services 6 months earlier, leaving a debt of $3,000 that Robert had already written off as a loss. The man called, apologizing, and wanted to pay the full debt with interest. I could hardly believe it, Robert told me, still in disbelief. He said he had a dream in which I appeared, and he felt compelled to contact me to settle the matter. I've never seen anything like it in my entire professional life. But the most impressive part came later. Over the next 15 days, 3 other clients who owed smaller amounts also spontaneously contacted him to pay off their debts. Robert collected over $7,000 in money he considered lost, without making any kind of collection call or applying any pressure. This phenomenon of magnetic return is one of the most powerful manifestations of energetic protection in action. When you remove all drains from your prosperity field and energetically seal your leaks, everything that was unjustly taken from you over the years begins to return naturally, as if the universe automatically corrects past imbalances. I am not talking about magic or wishful thinking, but about a precise energetic law that works with the same consistency as the laws of physics. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only transforms and moves. And when you block improper outlets of your prosperous energy, that energy naturally returns to you in ways that are often surprising in their creativity and precision. The technique I call the circle of protected prosperity is an advanced exercise that I teach only to people who have already completed at least one full 40-day cycle with the 5 Psalms. This exercise should be done once a week, preferably on Friday before lighting the protection candle. You should sit comfortably, close your eyes, and visualize a golden circle around you, but not an ordinary circle. This circle has the special property of being permeable only to energies that genuinely benefit your prosperity and completely impenetrable to any form of drainage or negative interference. Within this circle, visualize all your current financial resources, bank account, investments, assets, sources of income, protected and growing naturally. Also, visualize future opportunities approaching the circle, being filtered by the energetic protection, and only the truly beneficial ones managing to enter your reality. During the visualization of the circle of protected prosperity, declare aloud, I accept only opportunities that honor my energy, relationships that respect my generosity, and dealings that contribute to my sustainable growth. Everything that does not serve my highest good is automatically repelled by my divine protection. This declaration functions as an energetic programming that guides your protection to filter out not only negative people, but also opportunities that seem good on the surface, but are actually disguised traps or situations that would drain your energy in subtle ways. Margaret told me about an incredible situation that happened after she started doing the circle of protected prosperity. A neighbor she barely knew approached her offering an investment opportunity in a scheme that involved selling beauty products to friends and family. The proposal seemed financially attractive, but during the conversation, Margaret physically felt that something was wrong, a heaviness in her chest, and a clear intuition that it would drain her energy and possibly her resources. She politely declined the offer, and 2 weeks later, she found out through neighborhood gossip that several people had lost money in the scheme, which turned out to be a disguised pyramid scheme. My protection saved me from a mess that could have consumed my savings, she thanked me. During these 40 days, I also teach a practice I call the Prosperity Sync Journal, where you write down 3 things daily: any opportunity or financial benefit that arose unexpectedly, any problem that was resolved more easily than you expected, and any negative person who stopped draining your energy. This journal serves not only as a record of progress, but as a mental programming tool that trains your consciousness to perceive and attract more and more positive manifestations. Robert has been keeping his journal for 6 months and showed me impressive entries. On average, he records at least 2 prosperous synchronicities per week, from new clients who appear through referrals to creative solutions for problems that seemed complex. The deepest transformation I observe in people who apply this technique consistently is what I call restored prosperous dignity. After years of living under energetic drainage, many people develop a problematic relationship with money and success, feeling unworthy of abundance or guilty for prospering when others around them are struggling. But when energetic protection is fully established, something extraordinary happens. The person reconnects with their natural dignity to be prosperous, understanding that their abundance takes nothing from anyone, but on the contrary, their protected prosperity allows them to be an even greater positive force in the world. Robert told me something that perfectly illustrates this transformation. Rabbi, I spent decades feeling guilty for wanting to earn more money, as if it were selfish. But now I understand that when I am financially strong and energetically protected, I can help many more people much more effectively than when I was drained and worried about my own survival. He began offering free consulting once a month to low-income individuals, something he could never do before because he had neither the energy nor the surplus resources to dedicate to volunteer work. Margaret discovered that her ability to teach and inspire others multiplied exponentially after she established her energetic protection. She started giving informal talks at her church about personal financial organization and has already helped more than 20 families get out of debt and create emergency funds. When you are energetically protected, she explained, your own light shines brighter and naturally attracts people who genuinely want to grow instead of people who just want to drain your energy. Now I want you to understand something fundamental about this process. Financial energetic protection is not a technique you apply temporarily to solve immediate problems and then abandon. It is a new way of life, a permanent spiritual practice that becomes as natural as brushing your teeth or taking a shower. The 5 Psalms become your daily companions, the visualizations become automatic, and the ability to detect and repel energetic vampires becomes a refined instinct that protects not only your finances, but your entire quality of life. During your 40 days of transformation, you will discover layers of yourself that had been buried by years of energetic drainage, talents you forgot you had, dreams you had given up on, inner strength you thought you had lost forever. It's as if energetic protection not only prevents your vitality from being siphoned off, but also releases all the energy that was being held back by negative influences, creating an explosion of creativity, motivation, and ability to achieve that will transform not just your finances, but your entire experience of being alive. I want you to start today, right now, by reciting for the first time the 5 Psalms with the visualizations I have taught. Feel the protection establishing itself around you like a golden cloak of dignity and strength. Tomorrow morning, before any other activity, repeat the full ritual and continue for 40 consecutive days, noting in your Prosperity Sync journal every positive manifestation you observe. Repeat with me this final blessing that I will seal upon your journey. May my prosperous energy be protected by the divine light. May my generosity flow from sustainable abundance. May only people and opportunities that honor my dignity find their way to me, and may I become a channel of blessing in the world through my protected prosperity. Go in peace, protected and prosperous, knowing that the Eternal desires your abundance as much as your joy.